tell us about Lee Wallace, Barry Mackay. How impressed have you been with them?
Yeah, I think they've had a terrific season. Well, Lee we know all about. When I explained that the last time, that Lee, if we need to call on a left back, then he's been with us. We know what he can do. But I just felt that there's quite a few Rangers players who can be pleased with themselves this year. But I felt as a partnership they worked brilliantly together. As good a partnership as I've seen for a long time, and I think they both appreciate each other's contribution, and they both know what they're good at, and they both help each other all through the games. And so I think it's worth it that the two of them coming together.
Barry in particular, he has come on leaps and bounds this season. Is that fair to say? Because he was away out on loan last year.
Yeah, but I like that. I like people who want to do something about their career and make it move themselves rather than wait for it to happen. I think I've spoken about that many times. Get out there and join the real world, and that's what he's done. And his performances of late have been fantastic.
There's a number of players in the squad as well who are potentially involved in the playoff final, depending on what way the fixtures obviously and the results pan out. Does that matter in terms of the first game, in terms of how you pick your team?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It does, but I can't pick a settled squad just now. Most international managers at a decent level can pick them because they play in top leagues in the world. They don't have to play in playoff or anything like that. But if you look at that squad there, we all have 5 players who play in a top league in the world, and that most of my team is made up of the Championship, so that's going to happen, and we have to deal with that. It'd be great if every player played in the top league, so I wouldn't have to deal with this. But that's the reality. So it's very hard to pick a squad where you don't really know who's going to get the final of the playoffs. It could be a real problem for us, but we have to deal with that.
Gordon, no Lee Griffiths in the squad. What's your thinking behind that?
No, if you have a good look at it, if you have a real good look at it, there's no Celtic players in it.
Charlie Mulgrew.
Well, he'll maybe not be a Celtic player when we actually play the second game. His contract's up.
Okay.
So that's the reason Charlie's there. But Charlie's had a stop-start season. I don't think he needs as much of a rest. The reason the Celtic players and Aberdeen players are not there, I'll go into the Hearts in a minute. The reason being that I'm the Scotland manager, and my job is to get the best for Scottish football. So I'm picking a squad that's without Celtic and Aberdeen players. I'm going to try and give them as much rest as they can so they can be ready for the playoff European ties. So that's why you'll find there's no Celtic and Aberdeen players there. It might be a bit of a gamble. We could have done with some of them. As I say, to my job now, if the Aberdeen, Celtic, Hearts and whoever's next gets through and plays at the top level throughout next year, I will be delighted, because that's only going to help Scotland. Having experience of playing in Europe, playing against top sides, top players. As I go back to about 10, 11 years ago when Celtic and Rangers were doing very well in Europe, that definitely benefited. Ask the coaches back there, that definitely benefited the Scotland national side with these guys playing against top sides. I'm hoping that we can give these guys a rest, and that will benefit the clubs. In the long term, that will benefit me and the Scottish national side. It's a bit of a gamble. I would love to have some of the lads along, but I just felt that was the best thing to do.
How impressed just about Lee Griffiths in general, Gordon, have you been with the fact he hit 40 goals last night?
Yeah, that's fantastic, but they got beat. So the reality is, we're winning games of football. As I spoke highly of Lee over and over, and I don't think I have to go over it again, how impressed I've been with Lee over the last couple of years.
What about Jordan Rhodes, Gordon? He's scored 5 goals in his last 8 games for a Middlesbrough. Was he a consideration for the squad?
There's a lot of people being considered, but we feel that Ross McCormack, he's played in the same league and been terrific, and so many goals, and his performances at when we played in the Czech Republic, I thought that was fantastic as well. Tony Watt did well when he came on for 20 minutes, showing things that we like. And Chris Martin, he's been steady at the Championship this year, and you've got Nazy there, so we're kind of well covered there in that way. So we're okay with that.
Obviously he can score goals, Jordan Rhodes scored, but is there aspects to his game that you would like to see him work on?
Well, it's something up to me to talk about the aspects of his game. It's up to his coach and staff there, but we could be here with every player telling the pros and cons of what they do, but it's not right to me to what anybody should work on. But the guys that I've had in the squad just now, they've done well for us over the last couple of years, and I'm quite a loyal person, and I know that the guys work within what we try and do. Sorry,
Gordon. Will Steve Fletcher make it for the first game, just with regards to the French Cup final?
Well, it's all up in the air at the moment. There's people in the cup finals and at the cup final, Scottish Cup final, and that's not a problem. But I spoke to him the other night. He's looking forward to catching up. So, but that's, as I say, where we are. It's great that people in the cup finals, but as I say, a lot of the guys could be involved. They're playing in the playoffs and the championship, and that gives you a problem where there'll be where they get through, where there'll be injuries. It'd be great if I sat here and everyone was in English Premiership, or everyone playing Italy or Spain, then it'd be okay. But unfortunately, we're dealing with championship at the moment. As I say, if you look at the squad, there's only 5 playing in a top league in the world.
With these two
Going back to the Hearts thing as well, I spoke to Robbie Nielsen. I said, this is what I'm doing with Celtic and Aberdeen. Do you want to be included in that? Because Callum Paterson, I would have had him in the last squad, but he was injured. How do you feel about him? He went, no, have him in the squad because it'll benefit us. And he's also had the 6-week break as well, Callum. So, with his injury. So that's the reason Callum's in there. Now, just do what he does. Do what he does when he joins. And he's been with us before, so that's fine. So we'll know he'll be all right. He does what he's before. He's a goal threat. He can get forward and cross. He's got good physique about him, and he'll get better and better because he's still a young fella.
John McGregor's kept his place in the squad. Do you see him as a long-term replacement for Scott Brown?
No, I don't see anybody as a replacement for anybody. I would like to think young John would think that he's different from anybody else. And he's got great enthusiasm, and he should be pleased with his debut. And I wouldn't like to think you're trying to copy anybody. But if you've got to copy somebody, it's a good one to copy Scott Brown. But Scott Brown needs a rest, so he's got to get that. So I think if John does eventually play as well as Scott Brown does what he does in the game, then we're going to be very lucky. But Scott Brown's still an integral part of this squad, don't worry about that.
What made of Scott Bain's progress this season?
Well, he's done enough to get in the squad, that's for sure. So again, we work with him and we like what he brought to the squad. I know he didn't get a game, but he brought a lot to the squad, enthusiasm, and he worked well with the coaching staff and the players, so he's back in again.
What's the thinking going behind these two opponents in particular? It's as tough as it could be.
Yeah, it seemed a good idea at the time, 5 months ago. No, I really need to find out if players can play against top sides. And also, it's a long, hard season being as a player. I think, you've got your last bit of strength in you, and I think if you think, right, we're playing France and Italy, that gets you going. It turns you on. There may be other international fixtures out there that wouldn't turn players on. I've done it, played the end of the season games where you think, I gave my best shot, and it doesn't turn you on as much as they do against Italy and France. And also we'll find it, because that's the level you have to play against if we're going to get any better.
Do you expect Italy and France to both effectively be in tournament mode, and will that benefit?
I've no idea. We took a gamble in the last time we got together, having 2 different squads, because I was convinced that Denmark would give a lot of their players a rest. Wrong. They played the same team again. So it is a bit of a gamble. The gamble the last time worked out because we discovered players. We learnt other things about ourselves. We tried a couple of things. So the gamble worked out because we won the games, and we added to the squad. I think it gave us at this moment in time when I'm picking squads, it gives us more of a group to choose from.
Is the risk, I suppose, that they could both your opponents could be absolutely up for it? There's a few guys that are not in the squad who you would like to be in the squad.
Yeah, but as I said, I'm trying my best to help the whole of Scottish football just know this, myself to win games of football, and the coaching staff and players. We'll try to help everybody. Yeah, you're probably right, but I've made that decision about a month ago that I was going to give the players who I think we're going to play in the playoffs and whatever European competition time off.
Gordon, what do you make of Craig Brown's comments earlier in the week that he felt you were a bit unlucky that you didn't have the personnel at your disposal that allowed Scotland to be able to compete at major tournament level?
Well, listen, Craig is he's probably the Yoda of Scottish football. So I understand exactly what he's saying, and I think it reiterates what he says when you look at the squad, and there's only 5 from none playing European football in there. I don't think none. In terms none. As I say, when he went back to Craig's day, I think there was a lot playing. If you go back 10 years ago, you find a lot playing European football. So that's where we are at the moment. So he has a valid point that that the where the players are playing right now are not at the same level as when probably Craig had them. But what I've got when I get this group together is a great bunch of lads, and that's why we have to work as a team. We have to put more hours than anybody else because we don't have the individuals that the other international teams have got. Ibrahimovic at Sweden, he makes them. Bell, I've got to say he's well backed up with some good players there, and Lewandowski. If we had one of them, we'd qualify for European. We'd be going to Europe now.
Oliver Burke's kept his place. He gave us a glimpse of what he can do.
Yeah.
At the end of the Denmark game, when he came on, does he get a real chance of being involved in the World Cup qualifiers?
I don't know. It just depends on how he plays and how everybody else plays. But he was. We enjoyed his company in the squad. We had things that other players have not got. Just might take a wee while to fulfil all that. That might take a couple of years, but we know fine well when he's in the squad he can give us something that's different.
Gordon?
How important is it to not come home between these 2 games and take advantage of the training camp?
Sorry?
How important is it to not come home in between these 2 friends and take advantage of the training camp?
Well, it'll be fine because it saves the journey back and forward, so that's handy. So we'll be settled there, and we'll decent weather. Hope it's not too decent. But as I said, the excitement, sometimes I've been away at these trips, you play 2 games away from home and the games don't turn you on, but then the training becomes a problem. You have to wring the last wee bit of enthusiasm out of any player that's there, but I don't think that'll be a problem because of the quality we're going to play against, and I think players love playing against that kind of quality, test themselves and see where they are.
I think going to France so close to the tournament itself might be some of the emotions of not qualifying.
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. We've known for 6 months now we're not going, so we move on.
Is there a date planned for August in terms of
No.
Gordon, you're talking about doing what's best for Scottish football, and obviously as former Celtic manager yourself, obviously Celtic now looking for a new manager, how important do you feel it is that they appoint somebody relatively quickly?
It's not to me, that's up to the powers that be. The people there, they'll do it well, they'll do it the time it takes to get a manager, but it's not to me to discuss that.
The odds you're 100 to 1, you're not going to fancy a second punt at it?
I've got Danny Willits at 60 to 1 in the Masters, so that was my gamble for the year, I think, finished.
How big is the job that awaits these possible new managers?
As I say, that it's not up to me to discuss that at this time. I'm here to talk about the Scotland team.
I just actually finally, as a former teammate of Dalglish, as State Council today are putting forward a motion to get
What a good idea.
to become a knight.
No, seriously, what a good idea. There's people getting knighthoods left, right and centre for literally nothing, and really should be embarrassed to take them. But I've got to say, if anybody in sport at the moment deserves it, not forget the football, for everything he's done for that club and the people of Liverpool, absolutely fantastic. And also the charity work he does, and that sounds like Paul Whitehouse there, the charity work, with that. But incredible what they've done for the Liverpool area, the Dalglish family, incredible. So I read that this morning and I thought, yeah, that's perfect. I know you'll go, no.
You don't think he'll accept it?
I've no idea if he's got to get. Yeah, you have to be asked first. but I can just imagine. I'll see him in a couple of days. I just imagine what he's saying. Yeah, but what a good idea.
Can I just ask one question from my Aberdeen colleagues, Darryl? Just, I don't know if you've heard, Gordon, but Aberdeen are going to be building a new stadium, or plans to build a new stadium.
I think I seen a bit of that this morning. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as a former Aberdeen player, obviously, what's your feelings about that?
Everybody has to move on. Yeah, I think there's West Ham moving on, things like that. Everybody has to move on, do the best. So, and I think it'd be exciting as well. So, good luck to them.